Jean-Pierre Rampal is the most famous flutist, probably, maybe, that has ever lived, but especially of this century.
He is an icon in the flute world. He's one of the reasons that the flute is so popular.
Oh, I used to have records of him when I was little, and I've just totally admired his playing for years.
He's awesome. I mean, there's no other word to describe him, or his playing and his influence he's got.
He's the first flutist, really, in this century to be fairly well known as a soloist, not just as a teacher or as an orchestral flutist, but as a soloist.
Things that he's done to promote this instrument, we can all be grateful to him for, because he's the reason that we have these kinds of opportunities.
He's an inspiration to us all.
I know that a lot of people, they like me, but I don't know why. Well, I know because I'm not so bad, you know. Otherwise they would not like me. But why they prefer me to another people, that is a purely subjective, you know. Purely subjective, and it has no interference with anything, you know. Most of the time I don't like the flute. When it is not very well played, it's horrible. Every instrument is horrible when it is not fantastically played.
French flutist Jean-Pierre Rampal has come to Mississippi to teach a master class for America's top flutists. He'll also perform 2 concerts.
Everything is different. With this trio, you know, with Claudia Rimani, I played with him since about 4 or 5 years. He was a pupil a student of mine, and with John I play since 25 years. You know, we have such a connection together that it's like if one man do the same music. Music has to be perfect. Otherwise, you should play for yourself. In your room, it's all. Like a concert for amateur, you know, and it's nice, but there is too much professional musicians. I don't speak about flute, you know. Too many professional musicians who are not good, you know.
He can play a phrase, it'll be maybe just 4 notes at the beginning of a piece that just sound like some angel just touched his flute. And it just comes floating out of the instrument. And there are very few people that can do that touch my heart like that.
Dr. Ada Tolan-Mosello was one of Rampal's masterclass students when she was 20. Her memories of that magical summer in Nice are bittersweet.
And he walked into the room, and as anyone knows who is a flutist, this is like seeing, you know, the icon of the flute world walk into the room. And I was 20 at the time. So I was a little bit nervous, and I didn't realize we were actually going to have to audition once we got there. So I was very frightened that I would not make it into his class. And I played 2 movements, about 4 measures of 2 different movements of the Bach E major flute sonata. And I can remember him, the very first thing that just put me completely at ease is he said, "I can tell that you study with Mr. Mariano." And I was, oh, I guess that's a good thing. So he said, "Yes, I can tell because you have such a beautiful tone." And from then on, I thought, okay, I'm all right now. And that class, there were about 30 or 35 of us in his master class in Nice. It was every day of the week. 7 hours a day, 7 days a week. Then we would go out at night and eat pizza and have wonderful, what we call fraise melba and all these wonderful desserts. And he would go with us and just buy wine for everyone. And so we got to know him. It was such a wonderful thing to be in his class all day long and then go out and eat pizza every night down by the Riviera. It's quite a spectacular situation. And I was scared to death. Here I was in France playing for like the famous Jean-Pierre Rampal. He kept saying, "Tu es timide," which means you are timid. So the last time I've ever played for him, in 78, I played the Reinecke Sonata, and the last movement is just all guts. In fact, parts of it say "con fuoco," which means with fire. And I just went for broke. And I probably overblew every other note, but I thought, okay, I'm not going to hear this comment this time. And the look on his face was like total surprise. And he just kind of let me go. And he kept walking around the stand. He'd come on this side and go around the other side. And I just kept belting it out, putting it everything I could. And I finished and I was exhausted. And he just said, "Oh, tu joues bien le Reinecke," which means you played well the Reinecke Sonata. And I was, okay, I'm in seventh heaven now. And I think that kind of won him over, that he had finally gotten to me so that I would come out of my shell.
If you want to play well, you have to be more stronger than your technique, You have to fly above your technique. Then you are free and you can express everything you want. That is difficult. It doesn't happen often. But sometime in your life, you can say, "Oh, today, I think I did play very well. I forgot the instrument." If you forgot the instrument, it's a good sign. If you have problem with the instrument, forget it.
Thank you. Rampal now prepares for his master class at the University of Southern Mississippi. 4 students have been selected from a nationwide audition.
Bravo. I enjoy sometimes I don't enjoy at all. It's not my mistake, If the students are good, it's fantastic. It's a source of inspiration. If the students are not good, don't speak about that, I think it's the worst moment you can spend in your life, But fortunately, now the level of performance is so high that most of the time the people are very good. And it's always a big, wonderful exchange of inspiration.
One of the students is Dr. Mosello's own student from Southwest Texas University, Zini Montmeyer. Another student is Dr. Judy Hand, professor of flute at McNeese State University in Louisiana.
For me, it's a double opportunity. It's opportunity as a player to get feedback from this great world-class musician, and an opportunity as a teacher to get ideas from my own students.
Hand realizes she selected a piece by a composer Rampal doesn't like.
You want to play?
Your favorite?
My favorite.
Go Bear.
Many people told me many times, "Why you don't play so much Gobert and this and Busser?" And because it's a bad music, I'm not made, to play bad music. I try to play the best music I can.
I knew he didn't like the Gobert because he doesn't happen to think it's a great piece of music. He said you have to bring the music out of it. And I think that's true with a lot of very non-complicated pieces. I think about folk songs and children's songs, lullabies. What makes them beautiful is the way they're communicated.
Only the Nocturne Elegance Carzano is good. It's a good piece. It's a good piece with guts, beside that, nothing.
He just kept saying he didn't like it, and that's okay. He still was able to help us with it and able to respond to the way we played it. And I respect that, because I have seen classes where someone just couldn't get past the fact that they didn't like the music and didn't really help the player that much because they were just so much against the music. And everyone leaves that experience feeling negative. And he didn't do that, so that meant a lot.
Bravo. You have beautiful sound. Bravo.
And I played the entire CPE Bach sonata, the Hamburger Sonata, and he was very happy to hear me play that. I'm glad I picked Bach because he was wanting some Bach. But I wanted to play that for him because I knew he would have great ideas about how to get that across.
This sonata by C.P. Bach has been written in 1786. You can imagine? 1786 means that it was written just after the Noce de Figaro. You know, this is a very rare example of somebody, a wonderful composer, was a wonderful composer, Carl Philipp Emanuel Bach, who was just as a refugee in Hamburg, you know. He died in Hamburg, and he was not connected with the other world. It's a beautiful piece. I love this piece. Huh? Allez. Listen, you have a beautiful sound, but it's allegretto.
Too slow.
Of course it's too slow. It's like that, you know. It's the first movement. It's the first movement. Otherwise you ruin all the thing, you know. It's full of life.
He has incredible technique and incredible articulation and great speed. And he can play things a lot faster than the rest of us can. And so sometimes I have to tell my students, now this is Rampal, he goes fast. You don't have to go that fast, but you have to communicate the spirit of the piece. And you have to get a certain amount of energy out of it, even if you're not going fast. But he does have such facility and such control over that. And I want them to hear that and be inspired by it.
Open, yeah. It's better if you... Non, hein? Deux par deux. Voilà, it speaks much better.
That's what's so wonderful about music, is that you can communicate ideas without having to use words. And he sang a lot, or he would just stop and say no and sing something, and then you knew what he wanted.
Brilliant.
He wanted it to be great, and he helped us take that next step and get to that next level of really excitement and communicating something that would be very effective for the listener instead of just playing a lot of right notes.
Open to arrive. To arrive in B flat. Bravo. 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 It's a difficult piece. Very difficult piece. For the breathing, for breathing. Thank you.
He was positive and he was complimentary, and he said he liked my sound. He called it fleshy, which I had never heard before, and I asked him what he meant by that, and he just meant, you know, full-bodied, he said, meat on it, lots of meat on it. So I like that, and I'll treasure that comment.
First sound, the sound. If you have not a good sonority, forget it. It's like if you want to be a great singer, you have not a good voice. The quality of voice is very important. The quality of sound is very important. Then you must have everything. You must have the technique above the technique, you know.
Back at McNeese State, Hand student Christy Conrad practices the Bach Sonata.
Yeah, you do the same thing I do, and he got me for it, and I really like what he did with it. These two G's were kind of dead, and then I gave the downbeat G was just great, but they didn't lead there very well. So he stopped and sang it, you know, ha ha ha. He got me to put more energy behind those two. So think, go wing here, get me over the bar line with those three G's in a row. Enjoy these? Good. That's it. And then sweeter. That means a lot to me, to know that my students respect the way I play and know that I can hold my own, and that if I go and play for some world-class player like that there will be something positive to say about it. And so they're sort of excited that it was positive, and that he had some nice compliments, and that other people had nice compliments, and that means that their teacher knows what she's doing. So that was good.
Hello. Comment vas-tu?
As the masterclass resumes, Rampal recognizes his former student in the audience. He hasn't seen Mosello in years and has no idea why she's here. But as his next student plays, Rampal will quickly recognize the impact of his lessons 20 years ago.
Les Folies d'Espagne et la sonatine de Dutilleux par Zinaya Montemayor.
I'm probably going to blank out up there. Just being next to this man is just it's just amazing. I'm just kind of in shock right now.
Hi. You want to start with what?
But when she got up to play, I must tell her now that I was, my palms were sweaty, my lip was shaking. Every time she took a breath, I was taking it with her.
The way he looked at me, he just looked at me like with this twinkle in his eye that nobody's ever looked at me that way. It was so neat.
As soon as he kind of turned to her with that twinkle in his eye and that smile on his face, I thought, okay, she's in. This will be fine. And she handled it like a pro. And I got to say, I was extremely proud.
I started playing, and I played a few notes, and he turned to my teacher and asked her if I was her student. And that kind of, right there when he said that, I had played about 4 or 5 notes, and then he turned to her and said, "Is she your student?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, "Oh, beautiful, beautiful sound."
Qu'est-ce que tu dis? She has a beautiful sound. Beautiful sound.
After he said, "Are you her student? Or is she your student?" I felt, oh my God, I have to, he's gonna know. He knows that I'm her student, so I have to play. I need to play well. And plus, it was also for me. I needed to do something good. I needed to play well that day. I felt like he really liked the way I played. He connected to what I was trying to do and gave me more feedback. Like, play this, you're good. This is good, but this is better.
double is a little weak, you know. It's a little. Should be more. Did you practice the scale on the second syllable?
With that one piece where he really got me, the Moran Murray, he had a lot more to say there, and that's one of my pieces I played in my senior recital, and I think out of all of them, that was my most difficult. And at first I thought, oh, this is easy, I can play this, you know. But then when I started playing it, it's so much harder to play because it's so, especially like for example, the theme at the beginning, it's so simple, you know, it's 3-4 notes over and over again, and it's so difficult to play in tune correctly with a good tone, the right style. I mean, the whole thing is just, it's difficult to do. And that's one thing I really learned how to do, a lot of things that I wasn't getting before.
Double tonguing, huh? This is your mistake, huh? Yeah, you have to make a lot of improvement about that, you know, because you have a nice sound. You have a fantastic sound in the low register. It's very good, even with this terrible B-foot joint. Even with that, you know, you have
a lot of the things he was telling me were things that Dr. Mazzello had told me before. He is one on this, or he is one on that. He's going to say this stuff. And he said it, like he gave a big old explanation on the B-foot joint. And Dr. Mazzello had already told me that he does not like the B-foot joint.
There was one place, I got to say, in the Dutilleux where it's become a tradition in American flute playing. There's one place where all American flutists at the end of the cadenza take a breath. And I knew he didn't like that. I remembered that from 28 years ago. And so I said, whatever you do, don't breathe in that place before. And she didn't. And he looked at me and he went like this and blew me this kiss across the room. And of course, no one else knew what he was doing. And of course, I knew right away.
Keep diminuendo. Over tempo, no rallentando. Bravo! Bravo! My God, you know, it's the first time I hear in America somebody plays in the good tradition of this sonatine, you know. Most of the time you stop here, you know, it's so ugly, you know. It's not marked. Completely idiot.
He smiled several times over at me and winked, and then when she finished playing, he came over and spoke in French to me so that, you know, it wasn't to everyone else, and I said, well, how do you think she played? And he said, she has some problems with her tonguing, but in 1 week it will be better, and she plays very well. So I felt pretty convinced that he was happy with the results, so it's great.
After class, Rampal meets Mosello's other students.
Alicia,
Okay?
Danette, and Amy.
Hello. Ah, you didn't change, eh?
I didn't change?
No.
I look the same?
You didn't change.
Back in Texas, Rampal's greatness will live on in these 2 generations of students.
now our favorite. And the double tonguing one is where he really stopped you cold, wasn't it? And it was interesting because of all the things that you've always thought was your strongest point, and I've always thought was your strongest point, is the tonguing, because you can single tongue so incredibly fast. Now the problem is that because of that you haven't worked maybe enough on double tonguing. But I think what happened at that particular moment, and this can happen in a master class, he only heard you for half an hour. I've heard you for 5 years. Is that you got what I call the zugga-zuggas right there, where the fingers and tongue just didn't quite get where you wanted them to get. And you might have been a little tired by that time.
And he said in the master class, I practiced when I was young and not right now, you know. It's when now is the time to do it. I think that's one thing that's going to stick a lot, to do it now. Now is the time.
I hope that I will bring them a little, the maximum of love for music. This is the most important thing. Love is the most important thing. If you love music, and if the public who are listening you, they feel your love for music, it's okay. What you can ask more.